Your attention, please.
In episode...
Your attention, please. Mr. Simpson will now be autographing 8x10 glossies of Poochie. One per customer. Please form a line. There will be no cutting. I'm talking to you.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. Today I've got my retail aficionado, the salty dog, the curmudgeon of Thinking Critical, Pele. How you doing, buddy?
Hi. How are you? Yeah, we just right on the heels of the worst comics. Oh my God, here we are.
So we recently did like a retailer kind of perspective on comics aficionados, and I've been meaning to do like a full up video on kind of like some of the issues that retailers have to do. And I thought, hey, we were already talking. Let's talk about some of the stuff. Like, I feel, the local comic shop is the heartbeat of comic book fandom, in my opinion. And you're really in the front lines and in a lot of ways stuck in the middle of this weird thing where you have your customers, they want a certain thing. You have the publishers that are pushing products that not everybody wants, and then you have Diamond comics distributors destroying everything by not distributing comics properly. Correct?
Yeah. One thing that people have to remember is that, and I've constantly have to remind myself, is that I'm on the side of the customer always, and whatever Diamond, Marvel, DC, any of those publishers are doing, it's my primary responsibility to offer the best product that I can to my customers. And it does not behoove me. It does not benefit them if I put a nice fancy bow on a big pile of dog poo and try to tell them that it's, that it's a bed of roses. It's not. And and it's tough now. It really is, because the products that are out aren't good. You've got maybe a handful from each publisher that I really feel confident in presenting to my customers, with recommendations. And the rest, it's kind of like, buyer beware. Hey, if you want these, that's great, but I can't tell you these are great comics. So,
it's got to be a weird position where, your customers are giving you feedback. You want to give it to DC or Marvel, but they don't want to hear your feedback. They just want to direct you to push their product that your customers might not want.
Right. It's, I try to tell Marvel and DC, try to tell Diamond, the customers don't want this. They don't like these products. They don't like these comics. Of course, there's always differences. I do have customers that like Tom King's Batman. It's not an across the board, we hate these. But there's a majority opinion, and it's not hard for me to glean what the tastes and the trends are moving right now as far as what customers want to buy. And usually the response from Marvel and DC is, you're not selling it right. These your sales, these sales in these books should be much higher. You've got to really push them. You're not selling these comics. You got to talk about the benefits and these wonderful writers that we have working for us and this incredible artwork. And at the same time, it's like, they aren't, they really want me to lie. And I'm not going to lie to the customers, because the customers are going to know that I'm lying to them.
Well, and why would you? Because they don't listen to you anyway. It's not like you're equal partners in here. I think that's probably the thing I think customers, readers like myself probably don't realize is the weird position you're in. Like, this is just a random story. Like, recently, one of the Guardians of the Galaxy comics I had in my pull, when my shop fulfilled it, because everything gets shipped here because there's no comic shop in my city. Right. I got the Amazing Mary Jane variant cover.
God.
And like, I don't want that cover. I don't want that in my house. It's stupid. It doesn't fit anything. So, I was getting ready. I was going to send him a pretty nasty gram. Like, don't ever send me this again. I was like, let me think about this. Diamond probably just screwed up the entire order, and they didn't get all the normal covers that they went to. And they made sure to get me a comic, even though it was a cover that I would despise. They didn't know me personally. You know, I don't see them every day, but it's one of those things where I wanted to pull the trigger, and I'm assuming that happens to you, where people don't have that off switch. Like, maybe I won't say it today.
Yeah. It's stuff like that happens a lot. Recently, the Silver Surfer Black, we had an amazing Mary Jane cover where she's on the surfboard. It's okay. It's an okay cover, but it has nothing to do with Silver Surfer Black. You know, it's Mary Jane on the surfboard with the Silver Surfer. It's like, okay, that's cute and all that, but don't send me these things to replace the regular covers that I should have gotten. You know, and it happens. It happens all the time. And the Diamond doesn't care. They just want to sell units. And it's really what Marvel's pushing. So, you know, and you can feel, you know, what the narrative is. And, you know, and the customers definitely feel it. And, you know, it's and really one of the things that that Ash touched on the last, you know, Comics Aficionado show is that the difficult part here is trying to stay positive in a time when everything is, you know, is so poor. And that's really hard to do, because you've got, you know, Marvel, who just, you know, they literally, and DC's pretty much the same way, they go month by month trying to see how they can extract the most amount of money without really caring about how the market and how the comic book world is going to survive next month.
Nobody plays the short game quite like CB and the Legion of Doofuses.
Exactly, and it's all short game. There is no long game in this. They're running Marvel and these companies like, you know, these publishers are running these companies like this is the last month of they're going to be around, and they're going to try to get every dollar they can from you without caring about how these characters are going to function and survive going forward. And customers remember that, you know, you take a dump on their favorite characters like Tony Stark, Iron Man. I don't know how in the hell that there's going to be a successful Iron Man series after this, after what they've done to Tony Stark, because customers remember, fans remember, you know, same thing with Batman, same thing with Superman, you know, they remember this stuff. And you're not just going to like say, well, you know, we're just going to retcon all this. That never happened. Alfred's back. Yeah, look, this is wonderful. Now we're going to have a new storyline. No, you know, they're not going to just rush back. You know, look how long it took for Doc to finally, you know, get around to, you know, House of X, Powers of 10. You know,
yeah,
after being bitten so many times, you know,
it's the cash grabs that really infuriate me as a customer, and it's got to be even like 3 times worse than you. Like, let's just run down some of the stupid, idiotic things that Marvel did this year. So they just put out random variant covers with like absolute carnage lettering and with a couple of extra pages of content, you know, without telling you could order it, because you couldn't. They just randomly sent them out. And then they Marvel Comics 1000, the fake milestone issue, one of the dumbest constructed ideas I've ever seen in my life. One of the worst executed milestones I've ever seen, threw a huge price tag on it. Burn readers again. So next time they have one of those, you don't know how many to order because you don't know how many people are going to want to come back. Now you've got incoming a $10 preview comic with a little bit of a murder story, supposedly, that's going to end up in Empire. Who cares? Right. So everybody that got, this event book incoming, then they realize I just paid $10 for previews.
Yep.
And of course, they don't see CB Cebulski when they buy that book. They see you, right?
Yeah. And well, that's why I was just very upfront with people. This is what this is. It's a preview. It's a preview magazine. They're charging you $10 for it. You know, if you want it, you know, I put everybody, you know, put them first and said, hey, you know, this is the truth about this. This is not going to be valuable. This is not something that you're going to enjoy. You know, normally you would get this for free, but Marvel's going to charge you $10 for it this month or this year, you know, as a year-end thing, you know, and if you still want it, then that's on you. You know, I'm going to let you know up front that this is what this is. And people believed it. People understood. And, I had less than 4 people that wanted, I ordered 5 copies. Yeah.
So I want to talk about ordering. I as you know, I have been putting together the solicitation videos, which for DC and Marvel actually aren't that bad because Newsarama basically releases it with the solicitation with 1 to 3 covers only. But when I have to go to those indie comics and maybe go into Dynamite and try and figure out how many new comics, which is normally 8 or 9 new comics a month for Dynamite, you know how many things are in the Previews World guide? 60, because they're selling so many variant covers of freaking Vampirella. So I can't imagine what it was like. You mentioned Tony Stark Iron Man when they released that stupid comic with 70 variants on the number 1. And I think 45 of them were just variants of the Mark whatever armor. How are you supposed to know which customer you have that wants the Mark 17 armor rather than the Mark 25 armor?
Yeah. So situations like that, what happens is that I get customers. Yeah, I get customers. That's why those preview magazines help, because I have certain customers, they order a lot of variant covers, different variant covers, and they have a little checklist in the back of the Marvel thing, and they'll tick what they want, and if they want a particular, variant, then they'll write that in. And then when I go to place my order 3 months in advance, I'll specify that with these variant covers, I want, however many of this, then order my plus 10% or maybe not, it just depends. But then you have variants that you just don't know when are coming out. Like they have all the secret variants, like you talked about, the Immortal Hulk debacle that came with, which comics, about 50% of your comics coming in are going to have the extra story in them. And that's what everybody wants. They if they find out that this has got 2 extra pages of content, well, I want that one. Well, I don't have enough of them to fill all of my pull list because they sent me 50%. So you have to order double of what you think you're going to get, just so you might have a chance of filling out your pull list, and still might not. And then what are you going to do with all the non-special ones? Marvel doesn't care, because they're selling to you. They're not selling to your customers. You're the customer.
Yeah. Then it's not to mention, on average, what percentage of your orders would you say come in damaged from Diamond?
Oh, geez. It's gotten better than it used to be. Diamond is revamped their packaging now, and even before then, it had gotten better. But at one time, sometimes it was a quarter to half were damaged, and that's why as soon as the orders came in, we were breaking it down. We were getting the comics out. We were checking to see on Tuesday what's damaged, what's not damaged. Okay, well, looking through everything real quick. Okay, well, this is damaged. Okay, we've got 1/3 of the comics in this shipment that are damaged. Okay, and I immediately get on the phone, submit a damaged, submit all these comics that are damaged, and impart to my sales rep under no uncertain terms that I will have replacements for these the next day. Because if not, there's going to be hell to pay on this. And usually they would. They would have. How much cost is that extra for them and for me, to pay the shipping on that? I've got to pay the shipping on it. They're paying the replacement for the comics, but I'm having to pay the shipping. So
you're having to pay the overnight charges for their mistake for bulk ordering comics.
Yeah, exactly.
That's disgusting.
And it's like, okay, well, they made the mistake because they didn't package it. They've got chimpanzees, that are just, throwing 10-pound statues on top of, an entire stack of mint condition comics, just package them together with anything and everything. Usually we had the box that's the odds and ends, it's got the statues, it's got the buttons and all kinds of, miscellaneous crap that you order, month to month or week to week. And that comes in one box. That's also, unfortunately, the box that they put all of your incentive variants into. So all the really valuable books,
Most
your 1 in 20,
collectible covers.
yeah, all your 1 in 20, 1 in 10, 1 in 20, all of your 1 in 50, 1 in 100, the books that, you know, that you're actually hoping to get so you can try to break even on the amount of books that, you know, because you don't really need 50 copies of, you know, of this particular book, but, you know, you sell that 1 in 50 for 30 or 40 bucks and make some of your money back. But they put it in with the statues and everything like that, and you get it and it looks like ass, and they won't send you replacements on those.
It's crazy.
So
I was talking to another retailer recently, and I guess what was the name of the Dark Knight Returns story before this recent one, The Golden Child? Was it
the Master Race?
Master Race? There you go. This shop owner ordered like 2,500 of those.
Oh my geez, Lord.
And he sold 200 of them.
Oh God. Oh,
because I guess he didn't realize quite what the contents were going to be. That people were just kind of tune it out so bad. Like how often do you take a haircut like that where you're like, oh, let me get 500 of these, and then the day before it comes out, there's a fucking Newsarama article like, oh, look, this great political messaging, and you're like, oh, great, there's over half my customers that wanted this book don't want it anymore.
Well,
Thanks.
fortunately, I would hear about that after they bought the comic. But it's still not good for them. It's not good for me, because then after they buy the comic, they would be reading it. Oh, this sucks. It's kind of like the Watchmen, you know, not Watchmen. It was, you know, the countdown, you know, Doomsday Clock, you know, where they, you know, had the stupid thing with the white supremacists with the, you know, red hat, red ball cap and all that. But anyway, that was, you know, that was something that people found out after the fact, and they're like, okay, yeah, this sucks. But oh well, the overall story was good, so yay, you know. But yeah, stuff like that happens all the time, and I don't do that anymore. You know, I really went balls out as far as ordering House of X Powers of 10. I went, you know, big, huge, you know, bellwether issues, you know, they're really important. You know, I still don't, you know, I've kind of broken that rule from time to time, but I don't do it anymore as far as, you know, thousands of copies, because I'm not going to sell them. You know, they're going to be around forever. My stock room is full of the sins of the past of other shops that went under, you know, to remind me, you know, I've got long boxes full of Spawn #1, X-Men #1, you know, Spider-Man #1, you know, Image books from, you know, the 1990s. You know, this is stuff, you know, the black and white explosion of the 1980s. I've still got books from there from shops that went under. So that reminds me of what happens when you overorder and when you don't think about your inventory. And I just have to go back there and look. Oh, look, there's an entire box of, you know, Spawn #1.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.